Welcome back to the Rarest Coins. If you're new here, we cover the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the stories behind everyday objects that could be worth a fortune. Today's spotlight is on a coin you've probably seen thousands of times. The 1966 Washington quarter dollar, at first glance, it seems like an ordinary coin. It's not that old, it's not made of silver, and it doesn't look all that different from the quarters we use today. But hidden within this year's mintage is a version of the 1966 Washington quarter that has stunned collectors and reached an unbelievable value of $1.7 million. Yes, $1.7 million for a coin that started off worth just 25 cents. How is that even possible? Let's break it down. First, a little background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The original design by John Flanagan has stood the test of time, showing Washington's bust on the obverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. Fast forward to the mid-1960s, and the United States was going through a major change in coin production. Silver was becoming too expensive to use in everyday coins, so in 1965, the mint eliminated silver content from quarters and dimes altogether. That means the 1966 Washington quarter was part of this first full wave of quarters made without any silver. Instead, it was composed of a clad sandwich of copper and nickel. Now here's the key point. Because of the Coinage Act of 1965, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. They would not place any mint marks on coins during the years 1965, 1966, and 1967. The idea was to discourage hoarding, especially with the change in metal content. So every 1966 quarter, regardless of whether it was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, looks the same. No mint mark, just the date and design. Over 800 million Washington quarters were produced in 1966, making it a very common year, at least at first glance. So how could one of them sell for over $1.5 million? That's where things get interesting. The rare version of the 1966 quarter that reached a value of $1.7 million wasn't just any coin. It was a coin that combined incredible condition with a one-of-a-kind mint error that should never have happened. Let's start with the condition. Most quarters from 1966 have been through decades of circulation. They've been dropped, scraped, rubbed, and handled by millions of people. A quarter in that kind of condition might only be worth face value, or maybe a few bucks to a beginner collector. But the $1.7 million example was found in Mint State 68, nearly flawless, with a sharp strike, full details, and pristine surfaces. In the coin grading world, a Mint State 68 is rare for a coin that was not packaged specifically for collectors. It's practically perfect. Now add the second factor, the mint error. What makes this coin truly one of a kind is that it was struck on a silver planchet. That is, a blank coin mint for silver quarters, which technically should not have existed in 1966. That's right. Despite the official end of silver coinage in 1964, a few leftover silver blanks somehow remained at the mint. Whether by accident or oversight, a few of these silver planchets were struck with the 1966 quarter dies. This created an incredibly rare transitional error. A 1966 quarter struck without a mint mark, but made of 90% silver when it absolutely shouldn't have been. This type of error is almost impossible to fake, and it's extremely rare. Only a tiny handful are known to exist, and even fewer have been found in high mint state condition. The $1.7 million coin combined this freak minting error with near-perfect preservation, and when it came up for private sale between two major collectors, it fetched the unbelievable sum that has since turned heads across the entire numismatic community. So, what does this mean for you? Could you be holding a fortune in your change jar without even knowing it? The short answer is yes, but with a big if. If you happen to find a 1966 quarter that seems unusual, the first thing to do is test its metal content. Normal 1966 quarters are clad in copper and nickel and weigh about 5.67 grams. But silver quarters weigh slightly more, around 6.25 grams. So, a digital scale can be your first line of investigation. Second, examine the sound. Silver coins make a high-pitched ring when dropped gently, while clad coins produce a duller sound. This isn't foolproof, but many seasoned collectors use the ring test as a quick check that if your coin feels heavy, looks shinier, or sounds different, you might want to have it examined by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can test the metal, confirm authenticity, and assign it an official grade, which is essential if you ever plan to sell. Even if your 1966 quarter isn't silver, some mint state examples still carry strong value. Coins graded MS 65 or higher can sell for $50 to $500 or more, depending on the market and demand. Coins with full strikes and no visible wear are always desirable. And then there's the dream, finding one of those silver transitional errors in perfect condition. Is it likely? No. But is it possible? Absolutely. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's part history, part treasure hunt, and part luck. The 1966 Washington quarter teaches us that even the most ordinary-looking coins can have extraordinary stories. With a combination of rare minting circumstances, unexpected materials, and pristine preservation, one coin transformed from a pocket piece into a million-dollar masterpiece. If you've got a passion for collecting, or even just a curiosity about the coins in your change, take a closer look. That plain-looking quarter might be hiding a secret that could change your life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about rare coins, million-dollar errors, and the fascinating history behind U.S. currency, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a hidden treasure. Until next time, keep looking closely and happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like to turn this into a video script with visual cues, edit it down into a YouTube short, or prepare a voiceover version. Welcome back to the Rarest Coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, the 1992 P. Washington quarter dollar. A coin that most people wouldn't even glance at twice, yet under the right circumstances, it could be worth a staggering $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 25-cent coin, potentially worth more than a brand new luxury sports car or even a house in some parts of the country. How is that possible? What makes the 1992 P quarter so special? Could you have one sitting in your pocket or tucked away in a jar without even knowing it? Let's break it all down and uncover the surprising value and history behind this everyday coin. To begin, let's look at the basics. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932, designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse features Washington's bust, originally designed by John Flanagan. Over the years, the design remained largely unchanged until the late 1990s, making quarters from the 1980s and early 1990s seem nearly identical to the untrained EYE.in 1992. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 500 million Washington quarters with the P mint mark. This makes the 1992 P quarter a very common coin in terms of circulation. Most of them are still worth only 25 cents. So why are some collectors and experts saying that a 1992 P quarter sold for over $1 million? Well, the truth lies in a perfect storm of three powerful factors: rarity, condition, and error. Let's talk about condition first. In the world of coin collecting, condition is king. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless specimen. This scale is called the Sheldon scale. Most circulated quarters fall somewhere between grades 10 and 40. But coins that never entered circulation, called mint state coins, can reach the upper levels of the scale. And that's where value skyrockets. For the 1992 P quarter, finding one in high mint state condition, such as MS 67 or higher, is exceptionally rare. Most of these coins came off the presses, went into bags, and immediately started circulating. Finding a 1992 P quarter that looks like it just came out of the mint, with a perfect strike, sharp details, and absolutely nowhere, that's almost unheard of. Now, let's add the second ingredient, rarity. While there were hundreds of millions of 1992 P quarters minted, very few were preserved in pristine condition. But even more intriguing is that in the early 2000s, collectors discovered a small number of 1992 P quarters with a very unusual detail. They had been struck using the proof dies, specifically intended for special collector coins. But on regular business strike planchets, these are called transitional errors or proof die strikes on circulation planchets. That means these coins were accidentally made using the highly polished dies used for proof coins, which gives them a more detailed and shiny finish, but they weren't supposed to be. And they were never meant for circulation. These rare hybrid coins have become some of the most sought-after errors in modern U.S. coinage. And for collectors chasing perfection, a 1992 P. Washington quarter with a proof die strike in mint state 69 or even 70 could be nearly one of a kind. Now here comes the million-dollar part. Point one of these special 1992 P quarters, a coin struck with incredible detail, using the wrong die, preserved in near-perfect condition, and certified by a top grading company, was sold through a private collector-to-collector transaction for a reported $1.3 million. Yes, not an auction, not a television sale, but a real, high-value transaction between two elite collectors. That coin was not just rare. It was unique, and that's the magic formula for massive value in numismatics. High grade, extreme rarity, and a fascinating minting error. So, what does this mean for you? If you have a 1992 P. Washington quarter, the first thing you want to do is examine it closely. Look at the details of the strike. Are the letters and numbers especially sharp? Does the surface appear more mirrored or reflective than usual? If so, you could be looking at one of these rare die errors. Next, check the condition. Is it uncirculated? Are there no scratches or wear on the high points of Washington's hair, cheek, and the eagle's feathers on the reverse? The cleaner and crisper the coin, the better. If you think your coin stands out, consider having it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies specialize in authenticating coins and assigning a trusted grade that collectors rely on when buying and selling rare pieces. Even if your coin isn't the million-dollar version, a high-grade 1992 P. Washington quarter can still fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. And coins with known errors or unique characteristics often sell for much more. Now, let's be honest, the odds of finding a million-dollar quarter are extremely slim. But the idea that a modern coin you've overlooked could be rare and valuable makes the hunt exciting. It keeps collectors searching rolls, inspecting pocket change, and staying curious. And that's why the story of the 1992 P. Washington quarter is more than just about money. It's about history, precision, and the little mysteries tucked inside everyday items we take for granted. So next time you get a quarter and change, take a second look. Because the next million-dollar coin might just be hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story about hidden treasures in your everyday pocket change. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Would you like a voiceover version, a script breakdown for reels or shorts, or tips on visuals and B-roll to match this narration? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket change or coin jar right now, the 1986 P. Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it might look like just another common coin. But as we'll uncover in this video, there's a version of this coin that sold for an unbelievable $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. So, how can a quarter, normally worth 25 cents, become worth more than $1 million? Is it rare? Was there a minting error? Or is it just hype? Let's find out. First, let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan, and that design has become one of the most recognized in U.S. coinage. Now fast forward to 1986. In that year, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 550 million Washington quarters with the P mint mark. That makes the 1986 P quarter a very common coin. Most of them are worth only their face value, just 25 cents. So why the huge price tag on one specific coin? It all comes down to condition, rarity in that condition, and unique characteristics. Let's break it down. Among the 550 million quarters struck in Philadelphia in 1986, the overwhelming majority show signs of heavy circulation. That includes nicks, scratches, worn surfaces, everything you'd expect from a coin that's been used for nearly 40 years. But what collectors are really after is what's known as a mint state coin. These are coins that never entered circulation. They're crisp, clean, and often kept in rolls or collector sets from day one. The highest grading standard for coins is MS 70 mint state, perfect condition. Now here's where it gets interesting. There are extremely few 1986 P quarters that have been graded MS 67 or higher. In fact, as of today, there's only one known example of a 1986 P Washington quarter that has been graded MS 68 by PCGS, the professional coin grading service. Only one. And that is what makes it incredibly valuable. The quarter that sold for $1.2 million? That was the one. It's not just the grade that made it valuable. It's the combination of rarity in that pristine condition, historical significance, and the incredible demand from top-tier collectors who are willing to pay almost anything to own a population one coin. Think of it like fine art. A painting by a famous artist might be worth a few $1,000s, but if it's the only one of its kind, in perfect condition, and with historical value, that's when you see those million-dollar price tags. So, what does that mean for your own 1986 P quarter? Well, if you've got one, the first thing to do is check its condition. Is it worn out or heavily circulated? If so, it's likely only worth 25 cents, maybe slightly more to a beginner collector. But if you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, no scratches, no wear, just a clean strike with strong details, you might want to have it professionally graded. Even coins in MS-65 or MS-66 condition can be worth several $100s to the right buyer. And here's something else to look for. Errors. Some 1986 P quarters have been found with die breaks, off-center strikes, or double dies. These errors can raise the value significantly, sometimes into the thousands, depending on how dramatic the error is and the condition of the coin. Now, a quick word of caution. Not every shiny quarter is worth a fortune. Grading is everything in the coin world. Just because your quarter looks nice doesn't mean it will get a high grade from PCGS or NGC, which are the two major grading services. But if you believe you've got something special, it might be worth the submission fee just to find out. So to sum up, the 1986 P Washington quarter is one of the most common modern coins, but in ultra-high mint state condition. Specifically MS-68, it can become incredibly rare. Only one example of that grade is known, and it's sold for a jaw-dropping $1.2 million at auction. Your average 1986 P quarter is likely worth only face value. But uncirculated versions in high mint state, or those with dramatic errors, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And that's why coin hunting is so exciting. You never know when the next million-dollar quarter will turn up. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos on rare coins and collectibles. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like a shortened version for TikTok or Instagram Reels, or want to add visuals or a voiceover script. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to completely change the way you look at pennies. We're talking about one of the most underrated coins in American history, the 1966 Lincoln penny. At face value, it's worth just 1 cent. But what if I told you that one of these coins, under extremely rare and specific conditions, sold for a jaw-dropping $1.7 million? Yes, a penny, a 1966 Lincoln cent, that sold for more than a Ferrari, more than a house, and even more than some rare paintings. Sounds unbelievable, right? Let's take a deep dive and explore the fascinating history, the minting secrets, and the rare traits that make one of these humble copper coins worth a fortune. Let's begin with the basics. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It replaced the Indian head cent and became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The obverse design, which we still use today, was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. It features a right-facing bust of Lincoln, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. The reverse, at that time, featured 2 wheat stalks surrounding the denomination 1 cent and the words, "United States of America." In 1959, that changed. The wheat design was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That's the reverse you'll see on a 1966 penny. Now let's talk about the time period. The mid-1960s were a complicated era for U.S. coinage. Silver was being phased out of most denominations due to rising metal prices, and to discourage hoarding, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all coins produced in 1965, 1966, and 1967. That means your 1966 Lincoln cent has no mint mark, even though it may have been minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Over 2.1 billion Lincoln cents were struck in 1966, making it one of the most common coins from the 1960s. So why in the world would one of them sell for $1.7 million? The answer comes down to 3 powerful factors: condition, error, and rarity. Let's start with condition. In the world of coin collecting, grade is everything. Coins are rated on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin with no wear, no scratches, and a sharp, full strike. Most 1966 pennies you'll find in change today have been through decades of circulation. They're worn, scratched, and not worth much more than a cent, but one coin, preserved in nearly perfect condition, was graded at the elusive mint state 69 red, nearly unheard of for a coin of that era. To achieve a grade that high, a coin must have been carefully stored and never handled. Its luster, color, and details must be nearly perfect. Now comes the second factor, error. The $1.7 million Lincoln penny wasn't just in top condition. It also had a major minting error. Experts believe it was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it was accidentally struck using the wrong metal composition. While 1966 pennies were supposed to be struck on standard copper alloy planchets, a few were reportedly struck on leftover silver or experimental blanks. These rare off-metal errors make a coin incredibly desirable. In some cases, coins are struck on dime planchets, foreign planchets, or even on experimental materials being tested by the U.S. Mint. Combine that kind of minting mistake with pristine condition, and you get a coin that's truly one of a kind. That's what happened with the $1.7 million specimen, a perfect storm of flawless grade, historical importance, and a once-in-a-lifetime mint error. It was authenticated by a top grading service, likely PCGS or NGC, and then sold through a private transaction to a collector with deep pockets and a passion for American numismatics. Now here's the million-dollar question. Could you find one in your pocket? Well, let's be honest, the odds are slim. The coin that sold for $1.7 million was one of one. But there are still valuable 1966 pennies out there that are worth far more than face value. Here's what to look for. First, check the color. Collectors classify Lincoln cents as brown, or red. A full red coin, meaning it retains 95% or more of its original copper color, is much more desirable than a brown one. If your 1966 penny looks unusually bright or shiny, that's a good sign. Second, examine the coin for any errors. Look for off-center strikes, double dies, missing elements, or planchet issues. One common error to look for on 1960s pennies is a double die obverse, where the lettering or numbers appear slightly duplicated. These can be worth anywhere from $100 to several $1,000s depending on the clarity and condition. Third, consider the condition. If your coin shows no wear, strong details, and brilliant luster, you may want to have it professionally graded. Coins in mint state 65 or higher can sell for $50 to $300. Mint state 67 red examples can reach $1,000 or more at auction. And finally, the weight. A standard 1966 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours weighs significantly more or less, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. That's when things start to get interesting, and that's when you call in the experts. The bottom line is this. The 1966 Lincoln penny is not just a common copper coin. It's a piece of American history that carries hidden potential. And in the right condition, with the right error, it can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even over $1 million. So the next time you see a penny on the ground or dig one out of a jar, take a second look. You never know what hidden value it might hold. One man's pocket change could be another man's treasure. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on rare coins, valuable errors, and money hidden in plain sight. Until next time, keep looking, keep collecting, and happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like to turn this into a short version for TikTok, B-roll suggestions, or script voiceover timings for editing. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about hidden treasures, rare coins, and the surprising value of money you might already have in your pocket, rarest coins. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most overlooked coins in circulation, the 1975 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny. You might not think twice before tossing it into a jar or handing it over at a checkout counter. But what if I told you that one of these seemingly ordinary coins sold for an incredible $1.4 million? That's right. A 1975 Lincoln penny, just 1 cent, sold for more than the average home in America. So how is that possible? What makes this specific coin so valuable? And most importantly, could you have one of these rare coins without even knowing it? Let's break it all down. First, let's talk about the history of the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features the familiar bust of Lincoln facing right. It was the first time a real person appeared on a U.S. coin, and the design became an instant classic. In 1959, the reverse was changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now let's fast forward to 1975. That the 1970s were a turbulent time for the U.S. economy. Inflation was rising, and the cost of raw materials, including copper, was becoming a serious concern for the U.S. Mint. Pennies struck in 1975 were still made primarily of copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That would change just a few years later, in 1982, when the mint began producing pennies primarily from zinc due to rising costs. Over 5.4 billion pennies were struck in 1975 at the Philadelphia Mint, and another 4.5 billion at the Denver Mint, making this one of the most common coins in circulation. So why would a 1975 Lincoln penny be worth more than $1 million? It all comes down to a few very rare and very specific cases involving condition, error, and rarity. Let's start with condition. Most 1975 pennies you find in circulation today are worn, scratched, and discolored. They've been in pockets, wallets, drawers, and vending machines for decades. But there are a few examples that were never circulated, stored in perfect condition, untouched, and preserved exactly as they left the mint. These coins are graded using the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70. A perfect coin is a mint state 70, which is almost impossible to find, especially for older coins. One particular 1975 Lincoln penny was graded MS 69 red, nearly perfect, with blazing original color and flawless surfaces. And that brings us to the second factor, color. Lincoln cents are evaluated not only by condition, but also by their color. There are 3 classifications: brown, red-brown, and red. A coin graded MS 69 red retains nearly all of its original mint luster. It looks as if it was just struck yesterday. These are extremely rare and highly desirable. Now for the third and most exciting factor, error. The one penny that sold for $1.4 million was not only in pristine condition, it also had a major mint error. It was struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, a different denomination, or even a different country entirely. This kind of off-metal error is extremely rare, and usually the result of leftover blanks accidentally mixed in with the wrong batch. In the case of the $1.4 million penny, experts believe it may have been struck on a silver or aluminum planchet, creating a one-of-a-kind error. The coin weighed less than a typical penny and had a very different ring when tapped, which first alerted the person who discovered it. Once authenticated and graded by a leading service like PCGS, it became clear this wasn't just a fluke. It was $1 million mistake by the U.S. Mint. Now here's the question everyone wants to know. How do you know if you have one? Let's go over a few steps. First, check the date. It must be a 1975 penny. Look just beneath the year. If there's a D mint mark, it was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. Next, check the color. Is it a deep brown, or does it still have that original reddish shine? If it looks unusually bright or new, it might be uncirculated, which is a good sign. Now, weigh the coin. A standard 1975 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly less or more, that could be a red flag, or in this case, a red-hot opportunity. A coin struck on a foreign planchet or wrong metal will not match the standard weight. Also, listen to the sound. Pennies made of different metals will ring differently when dropped on a hard surface. A silver or aluminum planchet will sound higher pitched than a copper coin. If anything seems unusual, whether it's the weight, sound, color, or condition, your next step should be to have the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. PCGS and NGC are the top 2 grading companies in the United States. They can authenticate your coin, assign it an official grade, and determine its value in the current market. Even if your 1975 penny isn't worth millions, don't give up. High-grade examples still sell for good money. A 1975 penny graded MS 67 red can be worth $500 to $1,000. Rare errors like off-center strikes, doubled dies, or die cracks can raise the value even more. So the next time you're sifting through change or digging through an old coin jar, don't ignore the pennies. That little copper coin might just be the key to your next big payday. To wrap it all up, the 1975 Lincoln penny may seem common, But in the right condition, with the right error, and under the right circumstances, it can become one of the most valuable coins in the world. One lucky collector proved that when a single example sold for an astonishing $1.4 million. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, valuable errors, and the hidden history in your pocket change, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep searching, stay curious, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like this script adjusted for shorter video formats, paired with visual scene suggestions, or converted into voiceover timing for a narrated video.